You go to him for help.
Ask him.
We're asking you. You put everything on the record, you'll get immunity in exchange for your testimony. Last chance.
Yo, welcome back to the Law Library with TA and Ykim and TA, my special guest, Bobby Garcia, professional paralegal working on Rikers Island, helping the young men that's dealing with gang cases and conspiracies, gun cases, all kind of cases on Rikers Island, guiding them through motion practice, discovery practice. Motion practice is used to get a case going, to start heading it towards its resolution and completion, whether by plea, trial, or freedom. And we was talking off camera just now. As you know, in the last couple of episodes, I did go into some of this stuff with the Sean Puffy Combs federal racketeering trial. And in the beginning, in the first one, through my thoughts and opinion, I was saying that I believe that they're going to use racketeering and the Rico charge to bring down a lot of people. They experimenting with this with Puffy Combs. I was like, okay, damn, how could it be one person indicted for conspiracy with no co-defendants, no co-conspirators? None of that is in count one. I had the indictment. I showed you the indictment. You can get it off www.pacer.gov. It's open to the public. And in that indictment, I was telling the audience, you, and I was telling Polo through discussion that what happens is, and I don't even know if that's valid, if that's solid. They charge him as a conspirator by himself. And I addressed that by saying sometimes the government could bring a charge, put him in an indictment, and then they cooperate. But then they still in the indictment, they will have to supersede to take him out and leave that person by himself, or would the government leave him out of the indictment in the beginning and let him work his out through profit and immunity agreements? So it's like the government got so much discretion because, I mean, like even on the state level, have you ever heard of one person in the conspiracy?
No, never.
You never heard of that, right?
No.
So, you know, they shuffling around, they tweaking, and they fixing. I don't got no real reason because I'm not a prosecutor. I don't work for the government. I'm not a police. I don't work for the police. So I don't know what their strategy is. How do you indict just one person on a conspiracy? But now what did come to fruition is the young white gentleman in Florida who they said was originally charged, but they dropped him. So that goes back to that question again. How did he get out the indictment? But nevertheless, they charged him. This is what they're saying. They charged him and then they dropped him because he's agreeing to testify now. He's been testifying, to my understanding, about the drugs and the guns in Florida, right?
Right.
He was saying that he was the one who was bringing all these different drugs, all the different numerous drugs that they was using, cocaine, ketamine, this one, that one.
Under the authorization of Diddy, right?
That's what he's claiming.
Right.
That's what they alleged in the indictment.
Okay.
So now we know this is a cooperating witness. He used to be some sports athletic person, and then he started working for Puffy or whatever you want to call him. And this is what his role was. So to me, that's now, or that's a way of how the government is tying their case up into a nice little bow. Because under that Rico, they got substantive charges from the state. Drug conspiracy. They got federal drug conspiracy, 846, 841. And all these things is what they bundle together into the Rico. So I said, they're experimenting with Puffy. They're making up new ways to bring about this prosecution. You know, the Rico Act. That was, I went back and found it. It was the Crime Control Act of 1970.
Right.
And like we were discussing on the way here, it was originally intended for the mob and the different businesses that they had to destroy and take down their business. So fast forward 2024, they're doing the same thing because they're going to deconstruct Bad Boy Records upon conviction. If Puffy get convicted and it's only my opinion that that is more likely than not to happen. They're going to deconstruct Bad Boy. They're going to break it all down. And the other part of Rico is two things I want to say clearly. The other part of Rico, damages under civil penalties of Rico is called treble, 3 times. Let's say you award judgment to, we didn't use puppy. Joe Blow violated this Civil Rights Act on Willie Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Smith lost $100,000. Joe Blow get found guilty, whether criminally or civilly. The damage now that he gonna have to pay back is not no longer the 100,000; it's 300,000. 3 times the amount. They can penalize you 3 times the amount. So now you say, why? How they do that? I thought Rico was just criminal. No, Rico is criminal and civil. Lo and behold, guess what I got in my hand this time, y'all? Bam. Guess, can they see that? Put that on the camera. Can you see that? Which way it got to go?
Right there.
Right there?
Right there.
So, not to make fun of nobody, because one of these dudes I know personally, right? This is this dude, Terrence Dixon, a.k.a. T.A., not the real T.A., not my brother T.A.
Right.
Don't get that twisted.
Yeah, definitely
So,
definitely don't.
It go Joseph, what you say his last name was?
Cartagena.
PKA, Fat Joe. Then it got Peter, Pistol Pete Torres. Then it got Richard, Rich Player. What's that name right there? Joseph Fryer.
Yeah,
Joe Fryer.
Joseph Becerra.
Then they got Sneaker Addict Touring LLC. Then they got Rock Nation LLC. Mm-hmm. Then they got John Doe's 1 through 10 and Jane Doe's 1 through 10 and ABC Corporations 1 through 10. This is a civil complaint against Fat Joe, right? Mm-hmm. So some of the things that I said with Puffy was the entity. I used the word entity. They suing a corporation, ABC Corporations, 1 through 10. Remember, I said, hey, man, how could they not charge anybody? Here go, in Puffy's indictment, all they had to do was list John Doe's.
That's right.
1 through 10. They ain't list John Doe's to protect the identity of all these people who they giving these pseudonyms to, these other names. And then you got Jane Doe's 1 through 10. So why? What does that mean? That means that this dude, Terrence Dixon, is bringing a civil lawsuit against, we're going to use the top person, Fat Joe, right?
Which led to what?
But right now, this has only been filed since June 19, 2025. This civil suit was just filed. How long ago was that? A week? Not even 2 weeks? Today's what? The 21st?
21st.
All right, so this was 3 days ago, right? 3 days ago. That Friday, I believe it had to be.
Exactly.
That they filed this. This going to turn into a criminal indictment as well. You mark my words, trust and believe. I'm telling you, this is the same thing what they did with Puffy all over again. With all those civil cases, they extracted all the criminal elements out through these civil cases.
That's right.
Because they list. Oh, what? Wait a minute. What is he charging? They charging Joe in the civil complaint, the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, a.k.a. what? Rico, bro.
Rico, that's right.
Rico, 18 USC 1962C. If I ain't mistaken, that's the same count they charged Puffy with. It can only be 1961 or 1962.
But the civil lawsuit opened up the door for that.
For that what? The who? Criminal?
For the civil lawsuit that he opened up.
Who's he? This character right here.
Terrence Davis, Dixon, whatever TA, whatever, not our TA, the fake TA.
Right.
But that opened up the door for all them other charges.
Right. So yeah, this is they are experimenting with this Rico, man.
That's right.
Because one is a dual-edged sword. And when I say dual-edged sword, I'm gonna show you how they're using both sides of the sword. Right now, this is a civil complaint.
Right.
I promise you it's going to turn into a criminal complaint after this case is settled.
I believe you
Or
were
before.
absolutely right behind that.
Then also within the civil complaint, they allege federal law violations. Rico. Rico is civil and federal as well. But also the federal, okay, boom, here. In here, they say these acts constitute violation of 18 USC 1512. That's United States Code. Witness tampering. 18 USC 875D. Interstate threats. Boom. This conduct violate 42, section 1985-2. Conspiracy to obstruct justice. This is what they charge. They got a lawyer that they charging with this here. New York Judiciary Law, section 487. Deceit and collusion by an attorney and federal witness retaliation statutes under 18 United States Code 1512, small b3. So they got federal and state charges in here, right? Then they go into, here we go. The court is taking jurisdiction over this. This is the Southern District, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the same courthouse where Sean Puffy Combs' trial is going on right now. So there's a fever in the Southern District United States Attorney Office to get and attack the music business. To get and attack the music business. Now, I ain't saying that these cats is innocent. I'm making no comment on that. I'm just speaking on, look what they're saying. This court has subject matter jurisdiction over this proceeding, over this action, according to 28-1331, as plaintiff claims arise under federal law, specifically Trafficking Victims Protection Act, and the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, Rico. Yo, man. Yo.
Those are serious charges.
Dan, before you start, I just want to say one thing. Hold on. Wait a minute. I had it marked. In the other show, in the first part, I was asking, how do they get this evidence, right? In here, look what they say. They talking about Torres now, right? They say plaintiff and, hold on, here we go. Torres' involvement in the enterprise retaliatory operation is corroborated by audio recordings, aka wiretaps, audio recordings and witness statements, which documents his efforts to orchestrate an ambush against plaintiff and his use of coded enterprise language. Coded enterprise language, witness statements, and audio recordings, such as pound him out and catch up, to issue violent orders on defendants. What's that name again, man?
Cartagena.
Fat Joe's behalf. So don't let my little mistakes or whatever word pronunciation throw you off. What I'm telling y'all is that stuff y'all post on IG, audio recordings, video recordings, they have police that go to school to study, quote unquote, ghetto terminology, ghetto language. What that mean? Why ghetto language? What you mean? The ghetto is just a little area that we call. Yeah, but the speak of the ghetto.
The slang.
The slang of the ghetto. The language. Pound him out. That's gang language, correct? Pound them out, right? I'm over 50. I work with kids too, 14 to 26.
Right.
When I wear black, brand new Nikes, Air Force Ones, they be saying, yo, you got on them stomp them out joints. A pair of black sneakers, man, they ain't nothing but some sneakers, young blood.
Yeah.
They might have been used to stomp them out 30, 40 years ago, but I got arthritis in my knee. I ain't stomping nobody out, man. Don't put me with that. Then they say, yo, gang, gang. This is incriminating language when they want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
This is incriminating language. Gang, gang. What up, gang, gang? Man, what 50 say? 50 say, man, I do not gang bang. Make that shit clear. He come from my side of town.
Mm-hmm.
He come from my area. I do not gang bang. Let them know straight up. So if you want to put a message out, like 50 did, that's a hell of a message. Listen, I done told y'all 10 records ago, I don't gang bang.
That's
So
right.
please don't run up on me on that shit. But I ain't starting nothing like that. But what I'm saying is, right now, Joe and his crew got a civil complaint. We got federal criminal charges in there. Also charges of sexual acts. It says right here, trigger warning. This document contains highly graphic information of a sexual nature, including sexual assault. Additionally, there are graphic details of sex trafficking and other criminal activity orchestrated by the defendant.
You better lawyer up.
Well, you know they're going to do that.
Lawyer up.
But yo, just how these accusations is coming out. I ain't say nobody's an angel. I wasn't on none of them yachts, man.
Yeah.
Nobody invited me to the party.
Mm-hmm.
And if funky ass stuff like that was going on, I would have turned it down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to no parties like that.
No.
Somebody going to jail messing with these little kids. They saying in here he messing with a 15-year-old girl.
Mm-mm.
A 15-year-old girl in the civil claim. So if he settles this, it's bad.
That's crazy.
If he go to trial, they demanding a jury trial. Jury trial demanded. If he go to trial in front of 6 people in a federal civil jury and lose, no matter how you look at it, it's a no-win situation, bro.
That's a bad charge. Anything but a child is a bad charge, you know?
Yeah, so y'all was trying to tell me something about a development in Dude Puffy trial now. Who was saying that about some kid?
I was saying that they brought up the issue and I seen on the news about they got the first child, and then it said at the parties that they had from testimony from witnesses that he had little children dressed up in Cinderella dresses and little boys in tuxedos standing on the table where people was walking around them like they was to see which one they wanted to buy or abuse, you know?
Right. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Also, I just want to mention before we move on, that also in this complaint, this dude is suing Rock Nation LLC. Now, when we were talking about public perception,
right,
and you know, if you hear something, it may not be factual, but it'll pick up traction.
Yeah.
Right? We said that, right? So now, all along during the course of Puffy case, they was talking about JC had his back, Jay-Z was supporting him and everything, which is cool. He's supposed to do that if they cool like that, if they real friends like that. But watch out, Rock Nation will come out in this civil case.
You said he was supporting who?
I said they
Jay-Z
saying
was supporting
public
who?
perception was supporting Puffy.
Oh.
Right? They say he was coming to the trial or he was on his behalf. They showing a lot of pictures of him together, like during the good time.
From what I know, there's supposed to be some type of thing coming up on him.
Well, I'm going to say, like I said again, these civil cases, they're using them to unravel or allege conspiracies. Remember, we had the conversation.
I agree with you on them terms.
Right.
Just like with the state, if you beat a state case several times, they're gonna revise that law.
Okay.
They're gonna revise it and they're gonna change it up where that next person won't beat that charge. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
They can revise any law as far as statewide, except for a constitutional law.
Even federal, all they gotta do is go through the process.
Yeah.
Say, look, tell Congress, look, this ain't working.
Exactly.
You know, we need to add
I know your
this.
specialty is dealing with the feds. My specialty is with the state, but you know.
Okay.
And that's why me and you we could articulate on this level. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. But I want these young people out here, or any people out here,
right?
Because here go another example. Who they try to knock off with this federal law or state law fraud? I think it was the Attorney General. The retaliation from Trump. Trying to go after the sister. Exactly.
James.
Right.
Yeah.
Letitia James.
Because,
she misstated something on a document.
Right.
And
I
that was
think that
fraud.
was retaliation from Trump because Trump don't like to lose. So if anybody
Right.
that he got a beef with, he coming after you.
That's only partly right.
Yeah.
Not only do Trump don't like to lose, he don't like to lose to black people.
Oh, that's a different
You left
story.
the other half
You're
out.
right. Yeah,
That's
you're
the other half.
absolutely right.
Letitia James is a black woman
That's
representing us in New York as her
but
constituent.
if you do your research, even the judge that held this case in Manhattan,
Right,
he's on him.
right. And wasn't the prosecutor over there from the state a black dude?
Mm-hmm.
The black DA in
The
Manhattan?
one, yeah, from Manhattan.
He was a black dude?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he don't like losing.
Nah.
And then especially he don't like losing to black people. But we ain't gonna stay on Trump. He's somebody that you gotta watch
Exactly.
because he's just on a whole nother level. Convicted felon, 32. He got 32 felonies, and he the president of the United States.
And he violating the Constitution on the issue
It's
too.
not in there.
No, he violating
how?
the issues about bringing United States Marines to govern the American people. You're not supposed to bring them into
Okay.
to violate American people.
So he's upsetting the legislative
Yeah,
balance.
the thing that's going on in L.A.
Okay.
You gotta. I watch everything. Like
Okay.
there's certain jewels and things that,
Mhm.
even like I said in movies, it's certain little things that you watch a
Okay.
movie, you think that it's like I said, gangs in New York. You know what I'm saying?
Good movie.
They think
Good
it's a
movie.
gang, but
Yeah.
if it gives you jewels that they drop on you. If you've seen
Right.
all the immigrants coming in from the ports, this is how the police force was born because the Irish made up the police department
Okay.
to fight another nationality that was abusing them.
So divide and conquer as
Right.
we go all the way down.
And this was in the 1800s.
Right.
But a lot of movies drop jewels on you, and you just got to pick them up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to
Right.
really look into it.
Okay. Well, they got some Godfather type stuff going on.
Yeah.
With these Rico cases, man.
Yeah.
You know who's the original targets. You know what I mean? So they were saying, man, in the Crime Control Act, they needed to shut down the mafia. So
And that's
now
what
it's the
created
mafia.
Rico because they
Right.
mafia with every
Okay.
chance they was trying to get at them,
Mhm.
they was one step ahead of them. They would
Okay.
beat their case.
Okay.
Why you think
So-
Gotti got off on so many cases?
Who?
John
Oh,
Gotti.
Gotti, yeah, he was whooping them bad. They had to shut him down. But what I'm saying, excuse me, y'all. So what I'm saying is that now that we here in 2024, and Rico, is being tweaked
2025, my brother.
2025. Okay, right. So thank you for the correction.
Uh-huh.
So now that we hit, well, you could go back and look at the TV show. You remember Lost in Space?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now all that stuff came to the phones and
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
right. That's
all that.
right. We didn't have
The
all that. Get
computers and
smart, picking up a shoe,
Right.
answering the phone, all that. Yeah.
So sometimes it's good to go back in the past. But I get it. It's not 2024. It's 2025, and we back to the Rico case.
That's right.
So look, what do you think about them being able to move around defendants, charged, not charged? This is prosecutorial discretion to bring these cases to the forefront, right? Like this young man that was in Florida
Mm-hmm.
that said he was moving the drugs or whatever drugs, the party drugs, E-pills, whatever it was, for Puffy, right? And he got busted. They said they admitted he got charged.
Mm-hmm.
Then later the charges was dropped. The only one who could drop the charges was the prosecutor, right?
Right.
They had a hell of a time dropping the charges on Eric Adams because they said, oh, we can't do that, blah, 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 blah. But now they dropped the charges on this dude to cooperate in the trial with Puffy, right? So now he's giving up this evidence, and you said I should be watching the news more, which you're probably right.
Of course.
But I stopped watching after I seen the BS they did with
Yeah.
George Floyd.
Yeah.
I was like completely done with it. But my thing to you is, how you see looking at these indictments, these complaints, civil, criminal, where do you think they're going with this conspiracy, man? You see how they
Just
use
put it
it.
like it's a remix. That's how I look at it. They remixing it. You know what I'm saying?
What you think they coming out with a record?
It
They
sound
want
like
to prove their conviction record.
Yeah, they remixing it. That's what
Okay.
that's what they doing.
They remixing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then as far as Holmes, was he on original indictment as a co-conspirator to Diddy?
The white guy in Florida?
Was he on the original?
I don't know, but the way they portraying it, he was charged and then they dropped it.
Okay, but me and you from the old school,
Okay.
you know pressure bust pipes.
Right.
If he can't do the time, they offer him immunity and he won't get this
I said
time. What
that.
you think he gonna do?
He's going to cooperate like
That's
he's
right.
doing now.
That's right.
He's going to cooperate like he's doing now. So that's why I say the prosecution in that case is using people like I don't have the indictment in front. I thought I left it here. But they got drug charges in there. So what now just came to me. What he's going to prove by his testimony or attempt to convince the jury of,
Yeah.
attempt to convince the jury of is one of the predicate acts, which is drug distribution.
Right.
That's a predicate act listed in that indictment, right? If he say, yo, Puff told me use the corporate jet, use the card, that's tying them to whatever that come bad boy. They use the car, they use the jet, or he paid for it with that, and he had the drugs, he had the gun, right, on his behalf. So now that ties up the bow for one predicate act, at least.
Right.
It ain't a whole lot to. He ain't saying, yo, Puff was moving 40 keys a week on these jets or whatever, and party. Ain't that big of a party in the world. Motherfuckers sniff 40 keys of cocaine in one night because everybody's been dead by that time. But what I'm saying is, he's the one they're using to tie in the drug part,
Right.
the drug allegations.
Right. Which is a
Right.
concrete conviction.
Right. So that's even just one of the predicate acts of the Rico. So, I mean, like, the doors are shutting. The defense done went from the time that they publicly announced that they would need to present this dude case. But now the time has dropped. Oh, we don't need 2 weeks now. We only need a week. It's getting, the window that they think they're going to use is getting smaller. Do you have any idea why is that?
Because the
First,
evidence,
I was going to put on 2
because
weeks.
you know what? I think the evidence is getting stronger and stronger.
What evidence? The prosecution evidence?
The prosecutors.
So now we can't spend the whole 2 weeks because
That's
we
right.
ain't know y'all had all that.
That's right.
We ain't, So the heart of the defense, originally what I was listening to, I said, okay, they're using the text, I said, why they keep messing with the text? Remember, the text was going back and forth. Oh, I love you, I hate you. I'm going to use that. Love, hate, love, hate, love, hate. So that was, in my opinion, the defense using that to show where can you pinpoint the coercion? Where can you pinpoint the force? When she's liking it this week, next week she got attitude. She don't like it. This week she like it. Oh, I made flowers and scents in the room and flowers on the bed. So they was using that to say, no, this is voluntary sexual acts that this man and this woman engaged in, right? So that kind of would throw off the jury with, damn, did he intentionally coerce her? Does that sound like force?
But what's hurting is the video evidence of him beating her down like the way
They
he did.
using that.
And that's strong. And that'll sway a jury's decision by just looking at that video.
So what you saying, the video is shaping public perception, and as well, these people that's on this jury saw that video more than likely before they was even picked for jury
more
duty.
likely they absolutely seen it. No more unlikely. They absolutely showed that at trial.
Okay.
So that's one factor that's not in his favor.
Okay, well, let me ask you about this, because something popped in my mind about that. They kept saying that when they was playing the video, that everybody on the jury could see it and had the headphones on, but only Puffy could hear it. He couldn't see it. Do you think that's denying him his right to public court, his right to trial, a public trial?
Well, hell, he's in the correct MCC or whatever.
No,
they got
in
TV.
courtroom.
No, in the courtroom, it doesn't matter if they showed it. He seen it on TV. He knew what it was.
Oh, shit. Okay.
He knew what it was. Let's keep it real.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm just looking for little cracks in the armor.
I'll tell you one thing. Right now, the way it's looking is not too many cracks.
Okay.
Not too many cracks.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Well, I said in the beginning, in the first show, if y'all go back to the first show, Thoughts and Opinion on the Puffy trial, I said he was done. That was just my opinion based on the little stuff I was hearing, the stuff I read.
And when you did say that, I believe when I viewed the podcast and I wasn't with you, I believe they came up with superseding indictment with more evidence after that.
I did say that they expanded, but see, you know what? I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not gonna go into it. But
Well, we'll
it
do it on
seemed
the
like,
next episode.
okay, all
Next
right,
episode. That's all.
all right. So, but now, is there a limitation? Now, this could be state or federal. What you just said, we could
Right.
kick off something on that. Coming up with more evidence, right?
Uh-huh.
If you come up with more evidence during the course of a trial, the trial's already been in effect,
Uh-huh.
right? The indictment has already been issued. If they come up with more evidence, do you think they would be allowed to come bring it in, or would they have to have a hearing on it?
No, it's too late for that because
It's
the
too late for
jury
it.
already is in deliberations.
The jury's not in deliberation.
That's what the jury was going into deliberations.
How
Last
they
time I
went-
heard it,
Yeah, but they ain't put up the defense yet.
the defense had whatever. I might be wrong, but the
Okay.
last thing I seen that this was last week that the jury was going into deliberations by either that Friday or that following Monday.
Friday that passed?
Yeah, or that following Monday coming up that just went by.
Okay, so right now what we just saying is assumptions, and we're not sure about this because I didn't hear nothing about that, and you know this little stuff that come up and everything like that. If I see some information coming from a credible source, then I speak on it.
I
But
spoke because I seen it from the news. They said it. Ain't no more. Ain't no more verification than that because
Okay,
that's slander if it ain't true.
Okay, well the news gets sued all the time. A lot of
Yeah.
times they shove that under the rug because you know that's what Trump now. See, that's one thing I would side with Trump. Fake news.
Yeah.
You gotta watch fake news.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But all right, so that's about it, man, for right now.
Yeah,
You
we'll
know.
get back to y'all with some
Okay.
better issues next time. But with the current events that's going on with the
Right.
law, we definitely on top of it. So
Right.
we will see y'all again at the law library.
Right. I just want to say, mark my words. See this this is a civil complaint against the terror squad, Fat Joe and his people.
That's right.
I guarantee you, they charge federal offenses. This is a civil complaint. This dude that they say in terrorist diction, he want money. But I promise you, the prosecutors in the Southern District of the Southern District of New York, United States District Court, Southern District of New York.
Yeah.
These prosecutors are going to turn this into a criminal case.
I believe you 100%
Right?
right
That's
on
the
that.
same way they just did.
That's
how they
right.
did
I
with
believe you
Puffy.
100% right on that.
And they naming Rock Nation in here.
That's right.
So the
it's
fuse is lit. Let's see how far that fuse go before it blow up.
That's right. You're absolutely right.
Welcome to the Law Library. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for new and updated information on the Sean Diddy Combs trial. And we're going to keep track of the case against Fat Joe and this civil complaint right here. All information that you might want, you don't believe nothing I say. My brother, God bless the dead, TA used to tell you, Google it if you don't believe me.
That's right.
But also, if you want access to these complaints, www.pacer.gov. Sign up, get your account, get the information straight from the courthouse. Peace.
Peace.